Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Wendy and this is Will's Mountain Homestead. As you can see behind me, half of my garden is tilled in, the other half not yet. And we are going to be planting potatoes. So today I'm going to show you how to plant potatoes two different ways. I'm going to show you in the garden and in containers. So why wait? Let's go. So I brought all of my supplies down in my wheelbarrow and you guys look at my potato seed. These are second year potatoes that I have seeded myself. And if you can't tell the variety yet, these are red Pontiac potatoes. And you can tell because of the red, pinkish red stems on them. And these are the eyes of the potato which we are going to be planting. Here is an example of one of my seed potatoes. Now, mine are going to be a lot bigger than what you're going to find at the store in the bags. Whenever you go to like your feed store or your local greenhouse or greenery, they're not going to have eyes that are this big. This is the second year I have done my own seed potatoes, and I'm finding each year my crop gets just a little bit better than it was the year before doing it this way. So I'm hoping the same is true this year. Now, there are two ways to plant your potatoes. Once we dig our rows out, we can just lay them in whole, just like this. Or you can take a knife, I'm sorry, my fingernails are dirty. You can take a knife and cut out, like I could cut this potato in half and lay it in that way, because I have a sprout here, which is an eye, and then I also have an eye cluster over here. So I could technically cut this potato in half and get two plants out of just this one potato. Whichever way you choose, both ways will give you a good potato harvest. So it doesn't matter if you want to put the whole potato in whole and that's easier for you, that is fine. You don't have to section them out and make smaller sections of potato. So this is just our red potatoes. We are also growing Kennyback, and then I have a purple potato variety as well. Here are the other two varieties that we are growing. You're going to notice that some of these have a really deep purple color to them. These are our purple potatoes that we are going to be growing. And guys, these are really good if you've never had a purple potato before. And then we have these ones here, which are totally white. And these are Kennybacks. So we do the three varieties. How I do this, it is like redneck style. I take sticks, just like this. I put string around the end of this one and tie string to the second one. And then what I will do is walk a straight line, and then I will hoe that line to make sure that I have an even row, because the last thing you want is for your row to go this way, because then you're messing up valuable space where you could plant other things. So here's our first line that we made, and we are going to go on the inside of this, and we're going to hoe it deep enough that we can put a trench in to cover the entire potato up with the leftover dirt. Our first row is completely trenched out, and it's kind of difficult to tell where the embankment comes up at on that hill, but you'll see it here in just a second. Okay, so my husband is mowing. That's what you're hearing in the background. So we're gonna take our potato. I just lost an eye. We're gonna take our potato seed just like this, and we're gonna lay it right in that trench that we just dug. I do leave a little bit of space in between my potatoes to give them room for their roots to expand. And once you have gotten to this point, all you're gonna do is take the dirt that you have backfilled out and just completely cover these potatoes. Make sure the potato is covered and the eyes are completely covered up, just like that. And guys, that's it. That is all there is to planting a potato in your garden, right there. All right, just to show you what it looks like all laid out, I'm gonna walk you down the row, just like that. So follow the line and then just cover these all up with dirt. Okay, so whenever I space my potatoes between the rows, I make sure I have enough for, I make sure that they are wide enough for a newspaper to fit in between. That way it controls the weeds. And then what I will do is put hay or mulch on top of that. Now, we have to do what is called hilling our potatoes once they start to sprout, come up through the ground, and are starting to get taller and taller and taller. There needs to be a place for the potatoes to grow. So what you need to do is called hilling them up. We use here what is called mushroom mulch. Now, it has worked very well in the past for us. The only downfall is you're putting on your soil whatever the horse has eaten. And for us, I think it was 2 years ago, we had purslane growing like crazy in our garden, and we contributed it to what the horse ate that was in the mushroom mulch. So it's up to you, whatever you use to hill it up. You could use compost, you could use dirt from your garden, hay, straw, whatever you choose, but you need to make sure that you're hilling it up. So when I'm canning potatoes, I love to use the red Pontiac because I can get more starch out of them before I put them in the jar. They stay clearer in the jar. It doesn't have as much starch after you process it, making it look kind of filmy in the jar. So for myself, that is what I prefer to can with. The Kennebec and the purple one will eat as just roasted potatoes, baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, however. But for canning purposes, I like the red Pontiac. Okay, so you do not need to have a tillable garden space to grow potatoes. You can very easily grow potatoes in a 5-gallon bucket. Now, if you grow root vegetables in any type of a bucket, I recommend a food grade safe bucket to plant them in. That's my opinion. You can pick those up at Lowe's and at Home Depot if you have one that is close to you. So let me show you what we did to prepare our buckets for planting. To each of our buckets, we took a 3/8 drill, and we used the masonry drill so that we wouldn't ruin the bits, and we drilled holes in the bottom of the bucket. Now you need to do this because you have to provide drainage for your soil and the potatoes. Otherwise, if the potatoes stay in soggy water, they're going to rot and you're not going to have a good product. So make sure that you drill holes in the bottom for a drainage source. What we're going to use is potting soil, and we're going to add some of our compost to this before we put it into our buckets. We do not want to use dirt straight out of the garden because I don't know why. We're just not doing it. We're not. So this is the same soil that I used to start all of my seedlings with. We have leftovers, so we're just going to use that along with compost.
Action.
So we have compost in here. We're going to add more of the potting soil, and then we're going to mix this up. And we're actually going to take that piece of food that's not broken down yet out. So my daughter is learning how to garden. Say hi.
Hi.
And this is her project this year, is to see how much produce she can grow on the porch. So we're starting with potatoes. So go ahead and fill your bucket with dirt using the mixture that we just came up with. Now when we fill our bucket, we only want to come about halfway up, and then we'll drop our potatoes in. Now we're only going to put 2 potatoes in each bucket, because if you plant any more than that in these buckets, there's not going to be any room for the potatoes to grow. So that's the plan. Jackie has 2 purple potatoes that we're going to be using, and these are, I believe, blue Adirondack or Adirondack blue potatoes. And what we're going to do is just place those in the bucket. So go ahead and space them out nice. Okay, now you don't have to push them in, you just gently lay them in there. And then what you want to do is put enough soil in to cover them up completely. So you want to make sure that the potato and the root themselves are both covered.
Okay.
Go ahead. How do you know when to water your buckets of potatoes?
Whenever the weight is light, or yeah,
Whenever
when the weight's too light, then you would need to water it.
Right.
Yeah.
You lift your bucket, and if it's really heavy, that means that there's water in it.
Yeah.
And if it's light, then that means that it could use a good drink.
Yeah.
Or, obviously, like you had said before, if the leaves look like they're drying out,
Yeah.
then you need to add water to it.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do is we are going to sprinkle just a little bit of water in this bucket just to get it going.
Okay.
We're going to put these on the porch, and then as the plant starts to grow, we're going to add mushroom mulch on top of this. And then we're going to keep hilling it up inside the bucket. So as the plant grows and starts coming up, we're going to keep adding the mushroom mulch on top. So mushroom mulch in the buckets will act as it's going to act as a source to keep the moisture in, so that way you won't have to water as often. Same rule applies out in the garden. If you add like a mulch or like a mushroom mulch like we use, it's going to retain and hold in that moisture, making it better for your plants not to require so much watering. We ended up doing 4 rows of potatoes in the garden, and the reason for that is I was talking to my grandmother the other day, and she grew up during the end of the Great Depression, lived through World War II, and they relied a lot on their gardens. And I was asking her what was the main crop that, if you needed to plant more of, what would that be? And she said, definitely potatoes, because you could bulk up a meal with a few extra potatoes. And she said, especially if you're feeding men that are working outside all day and need the extra energy from the calories that they've burnt off. She said that was a good way to make and extend a meal. So we went ahead and threw in another row of potatoes just because. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you learned how to plant potatoes. And guys, you really do not need a garden to do it. You can do so much just in containers and on your patio. So I'm hoping that this year we can show you how to do both and incorporate both for you. Thanks again for watching. Take care and God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye.